What I would like to talk about this time is about price transmission from international prices to domestic prices for food. In particular, our analysis is going to be focused on three commodities: wheat, corn, and rice. So why is this analysis important? Well, the reason is because international prices might have huge variations, and actually we have observed this over time. 2 years ago, in the 2007-2008 so-called food crisis, we observed that the international prices more than doubled. And actually right now, by the end of the 2010 and the beginning of this year, 2011, we are also observing that food commodity prices are increasing by important amounts in the international markets. So to what extent that is going to impose also high prices in the domestic economies, we want to know about that. And the reason is because that might have important impact on the poor, which have an important share of their expenditures on food. In particular, our analysis is based on an econometric approach in which we compare the growth rate of international prices and the growth rate of domestic prices. We also incorporate the fact that there might be other factors affecting domestic prices, for example, the exchange rate, so that's part of the analysis. We also take into account that the transmission from international prices to domestic prices might take more than one period. Actually, we consider up to 5 months for that transmission to happen. And we also take into account that international prices might have an effect on domestic prices differently across different commodities. For example, the case of bread and pasta, both of them might be impacted by the international price of wheat, but in a different magnitude. So the analysis that we conduct allows us to estimate something that we call the price transmission elasticity. And this price transmission elasticity will tell us to what extent or to quantify if there is a permanent change in the growth rate of international prices, how much of that is going to be transmitted into the growth rate of domestic prices. So our focus is in Latin American countries and in 3 Asian countries. In the case of Latin America, our work is on Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, and the Dominican Republic. For the Asian countries, we consider Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Vietnam. So the information that we use is for international prices. Our data comes from FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization. Exchange rate, we get the exchange rate from the International Monetary Fund, publicly available information. For domestic prices, we use domestic information coming from the National Bureau of Statistics in most cases. And the time period we analyze is from 2000 up to the end of 2008, in some cases mid of 2008. In terms of the results that we got out of our econometric analysis, we found that for Latin America, we got positive elasticities on average. And that's the case for wheat and rice. So in the case of wheat, we did analyze 3 commodities: bread, wheat flour, and pasta. So on average, the elasticities were in the range of 20% for bread, 30% for wheat flour, and 24% for pasta. And in most cases, with a statistical confidence that these numbers are far or above 0. In the case of corn, our estimates indicate that there is very weak elasticities, and if not 0 in most of the countries. There are 2 reasons for this. One is that while the international prices are related to yellow corn, for Latin American countries, the most relevant corn is white corn. So that might be one difference that can explain this. The second one is that corn, especially in Central America, is a really, really important staple. So there might be frequent government interventions. So that government intervention in the market might affect this relationship between international and domestic prices. So in the case of Asia, we also found positive transmission elasticities. And although there are variations across countries, even though in most cases they are positive, they are on a different the magnitudes are different. For example, in the case of wheat, for Bangladesh, the transmission is quite high, around 70%, while in Pakistan it's in the order of 40%, and in Vietnam is much lower, 11%. And we also found that within countries, this transmission elasticities might be different depending on the cities. Fortunately for us, we were able to use price information for different cities, and what we found is that the larger the cities, the stronger the transmission elasticity. In the case of rice, we also found strong elasticities. For Vietnam and Pakistan, they are about in the same range of the order of 50%, while in the case of Bangladesh, this transmission elasticity is lower, in the order of 30%. So to summarize, in Latin America, we found elasticities, positive elasticities for wheat and rice. We didn't find that positive elasticities for corn, much weaker or even zero. And in the case of Asia, we also found positive elasticities, meaning there is connection between international markets and domestic prices, but there are important differences across countries.